we're going to look at simplifying a complex fraction. This is section 1.2 in your book, pages 18 to 20. Simplify a complex fraction. Fractions like 20 divided by 1/2 are called complex fractions. Complex fractions are fractions with a numerator, denominator, or both that are also fractions. Complex fractions are simplified when both the numerator and denominator are integers. So what that means is, if you have the fraction of 5/4, number 5 is in the numerator, which is an integer, a positive or negative whole number, and number 4 is in the denominator, which is an integer, a positive or negative whole number. So integer, a positive or negative whole number. I'm going to highlight that. An integer is a positive or negative whole number. Let's try letter A. 2 divided by 2/3. In order to solve this, I need to first write this as a division problem. 2 divided by 2/3. My next step is to make my whole number 2 into a fraction. If you have a whole number, if you just divide it by 1, that creates a fraction. 2 divided by 1, that is divided by 2/3. Next, I want to multiply by the reciprocal. 2 divided by 1 times 3/2. Again, I want to multiply, meaning I change my division into multiplication. And I want to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. So the reciprocal means that you are flipping your fraction over. And then I'm going to simplify this. 2 times 3, so I'm going to rewrite this, 2 times 3, divided by 1 times 2. 2 times 3 is 6, divided by 1 times 2, which is 2. I can further reduce that. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So letter A, my answer is 3. Letter B, 6 divided by 1/3. I'm going to start off by writing that as a division problem. 6 divided by 1/3. Then I'm going to make 6 into a fraction. 6 divided by 1. That fraction divided by 1/3. Next, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. 6 divided by 1 times the reciprocal of 1/3 is 3 divided by 1. So again, I am changing my division to multiplication, and I am multiplying by the reciprocal of 1/3, which is 3 divided by 1. This equals 6 times 3 divided by 1 times 1. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 divided by 1 times 1, which is 1. 18 divided by 1 equals 18. There's letter B. Find unit rates. When the fractions of a complex fraction represent different units, you can find the unit rate. So let's try letter E. Mr. Ito is spreading mulch in his yard. He spreads 4 2/3 square yards in 2 hours. How many square yards can he mulch per hour? So that last part is asking how many square yards can he mulch per hour. So I'm going to make my numerator into square yards. And this is per hour. Or you could say mulch per hour, however you want to label it. So the square yards that he spreads is 4 2/3. So I'm getting that information right here. 4 2/3 square yards, which is what value I want here. So 4 2/3. The next piece of information that I want is the number of hours. Well, it says in here it took him 2 hours. So I want to put 2 down in my denominator. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to simplify. I want to get from 2 to 1. In order to do that, I divide by 2. Whatever I divide the denominator by, I have to divide the numerator by. 4 2/3 divided by 3. Oh, I'm sorry, that should be divided by 2, not 3. I divided the denominator by 2. So do the same thing to the numerator. Well, I don't know what 4 2/3 divided by 2 is. That's not something that comes easily. So I'm going to rewrite it down here. 4 2/3 divided by 3. Well, my first step is to convert 4 2/3 into an improper fraction. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 thirds divided by 3 divided by 1. I did skip a step by making 3 into a fraction. My next step is to keep the first fraction, multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 3 divided by 1 is 1/3. So instead of dividing, I changed it to multiplication. Oops. And deleted my multiplication. Then I needed to multiply by the reciprocal of 3 divided by 1, which is 1/3. So now I'm going to multiply across. 14 times 1 divided by 3 times 3, which equals 14 divided by 9. I could simplify that. 9 goes into 14 once. 14 minus 9 leaves me with 5. 1 5/9. So the question, how many square yards can you mulch per hour? 1 5/9 square yards. Continuing. Let's go ahead and try number 3. 8/9 divided by 6. Sorry about that. 8/9 divided by 6. First, I'm going to go and change that into a division problem. 8/9 divided by 6. Then I'm going to change the 6 into a fraction. 8/9 divided by 6 divided by 1. Now I'm going to multiply, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So 8/9 times 1/6. 8 times 1 divided by 9 times 6. 8 divided by 54. Well, I notice that I can reduce 8 and 54 by 2. Divided by 2. Divided by 2. That leaves me with a numerator of a 4. And 54 divided by 2, well, in case you don't know that off the top of your head, you can always show the work. 2 goes into 5 4 times. Oops. Goes in 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. Left over with a 1, bring down the 4. That leaves you with a 7. So that gives you 27. 4 27ths. All right, let's take a look at number 7. Mary is making pillows for her life skills class. She bought 2.5 yards of fabric. Her total cost was $15. What was the cost per yard? So it's asking for cost per yard. Actually, I'm going to rewrite that. Cost per yard. Well, the cost right now is $15. And the number of yards you have is 2.5. So I'm going to reduce, or I'm going to take out the labels. So 15 divided by 2.5. Again, I want it to be a denominator of 1. So to get from 2.5 to 1, I have to divide by 2.5. Whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. So I'm going to rewrite that as 15 divided by 2.5. I'm going to make 15 into a fraction, 15 divided by 1. Divided by, I'm going to change my mixed number of 2.5 into 5 halves. Because 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. My next step, let me add in my equal sign so we know which part is next. I'm going to keep my first fraction. I'm going to multiply by my reciprocal, meaning I multiply and make my second fraction into 2/5. Some of you might be saying that you can do some cross reducing, and you could, but I'm just going to keep solving it this way. 15 times 2 divided by 1 times 5. That gives me 30 divided by 5. Well, 30 divided by 5 reduces down to 6.